who died over the weekend at the age of 40. In the first episode to air since the presenter's death, the show's narrator, Ian Sterling, made an emotional statement thanking Ms Flack for her friendship.
We are all absolutely devastated by the tragic news that Caroline, a much-loved member of our Love Island family, has passed away. Caroline, I want to thank you for all the fun times we had making our favourite show. You were a true friend to me. I'm going to miss you, Kaz.
Join me now is someone who is no stranger to the scrutiny that comes with being a reality TV star, former Big Brother contestant Luke Marsden. Hello to you, Luke. Thanks for joining us. You were in Big Brother, weren't you? I think it's fair to say, and I know you write a regular column for the newspaper up in Wigan, celebrities do court the media. I'm not referring to you, I'm speaking more generally. And it is a little bit like catching the tiger by its tail. How is it, from your experience, how do celebrities manage the aftermath of that flood of media interest?
I mean, I'll be honest, Kate, to be honest, they don't. And I think you're right in saying that they court the media to an extent, but nothing, from a reality point of view especially, nothing can ultimately prepare you for a life of anonymity going to a life of thrust into the spotlight and then actually having that then disappear. Obviously, tragically, in Caroline Flack's case, she's been in the media now over 20 years. So she wasn't new to the media. She wasn't new to the workings of the media. And I think it is evolving. It is getting worse, actually, in my opinion. It's different from when I first went on a reality show 12 years ago.
Tell me about your experience.
I mean, 12 years ago, Twitter was on just becoming a thing. MySpace, in fact, if anybody even knows what that is anymore, was the big thing 12 years ago. And, I went from naively thinking that everybody liked you if you went on television, and the torrent of abuse that I received, even back then when social media wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And even today, even before coming on this show this morning, Kay, I have been tweeted abuse at least 10 times. So be kind is a great message, but only if people are going to actually follow through on that.
And how do you suggest that people deal with that sort of open, often anonymous abuse on social media?
The truth is, Kay, I'm not saying that everybody should be deleting the social media accounts, because I think actually everybody is accountable in a way to an extent for what happened tragically to Caroline Flack. Anybody that has the ability to broadcast via a social media account, I'm accountable, you're accountable, everybody with a social media account is accountable. And I think that maybe it's time that we took ourselves off our phones. I think that is one viable option. Or genuinely, a lot of people I know say block and ignore. That's an option. Or, and I have been guilty of this in the past, respond back, because then they don't expect you to do that.
Yeah, I always find that I turn to my dogs. They're the only things in the world that don't tell me how to do my job better. What about a support network of friends? How important is that?
It is. But also, as well, Kate, it's probably, like your friends probably find it difficult to understand your role and your world in the media. A lot of my friends, one of my friends is a mechanic, and, they aren't in that world where you're speaking to Sky News. They aren't in the world where he's tweeting a lot. So it's hard for friends to relate. But actually, they keep you grounded, and actually, they would make you realize that real life is important. One of my friends is due to have a baby literally today. Isn't that what's about important these days? Not how many Twitter followers you have and how many likes or retweets your tweet gets.
And those people around you during your 15 minutes of fame, not necessarily your friends.
Yeah, then that is the other case as well. And I think I wasn't a personal friend of Caroline Flack. I did meet her a few times. I found her to be very lovely. At the time I met her, she was surrounded by her agent and some publicists. I'm sure that was an element that played in her life. These people are paid. They aren't necessarily your friends. But they hopefully they would have the best interest in your heart. But then, yes, I did meet some Klingons back in the day. I can't remember any of the names now, thankfully. But it is not everybody in your life is going to have your best interests at heart, I believe.
What about the tribute to Caroline on last night's show on Love Island? What did you think?
It was moving, obviously. Ian Sterling's voice breaking at the end was very touching. But I'll be perfectly honest. I expected a bit more. I mean, what was it, 30 seconds, a minute maximum? And then I watched the episode last night and I just felt nothing for the show, if I'm perfectly honest. You know, some guy was talking about which shirt he should wear. And I'm thinking, does any of this matter now? Like the casualties that we've seen from this show and will potentially continue from this show, I think it's had its day.
What are you saying there, Luke?
I'm saying that, you know, before the general election, there was a reality TV inquiry by the Digital Culture, Media and Sport Committee. That came to nothing because of the general election now. And I think there now needs to be regulated oversight into formats of reality shows, Aftercare especially, not just the people, but the hosts of the shows. Everybody involved in a show that puts real life people onto television and expects them to potentially deal with the aftermath of it needs to be looked into properly, I think, now.
And you think Love Island's had its day?
I think, you know, what are we, 4 or 5 seasons in now? And this is a show that is potentially got a lot of negative connotations attached. Yes, there were millionaires being created from the show. Yes, there were Instagram influencers being created for the show. But I think it's time to either change the way that the show's dealt with or cancel it.
Just a quick thought before we let you go. A lot of criticism, particularly in the papers today, for the Crown Prosecution Service and saying that Caroline Flack shouldn't have faced prosecution for allegedly the crime that she committed. Do you have a thought on that? I
think that the CPS makes decisions based on what they think is in the public interest or what isn't in the public interest. So for me, I don't know whether or not I think she should be prosecuted. Personally, if I'd done the same thing that she allegedly did, I'm sure I would have been prosecuted over it.
Okay. Luke, it's good to talk to you. I can't believe we've not had you on the show before. Come on more often. Great to talk to you, Bella Wigener.
When was the last time you had a meat pie?
Well, let me tell you, I had one 2 weeks ago.
Good.
And more than that, I had a meat pie barm cake.
Oh, you can take the girl to Wigan cake. Come on.
There you go. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us, Luke. We appreciate it. If you've never tried a meat pie and barm cake, you don't know what you're missing. If you need to talk to anybody, if you know, we're having a laugh now, aren't we? But